Thanks for joining us today on HxGN TV. I'm your host, Neville Judd, and today we're discussing the launch of a new mine planning product, GeoLogic. Joining me is Product Manager Melanie Bolduc. Melanie, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Nev.
So Melanie, as every geologist knows, the block model is the foundation of all planning tools. Why is it so important and why is it so time-consuming to create?
So your block model is really how you manage your resources for your entire corporation. So it's really the single source of truth for a lot of decisions at the mine. So that's why it is so important to get it right. Mm-hmm. It is historically being really time-consuming to build a block model. And there's really two parts to this. The first part is you need to have all the information in place. You need to collect the proper data and make sure you have validated data. That's one part. The second part is you need to study that data. You need to have look at different possible scenarios of what that data represents. And this is why we're introducing a product such as GeoLogic to help into this process.
Right. So from what I understand, GeoLogic, it's new. It harnesses some of the power of MineSight Implicit Modeler, which is in itself relatively new, a few years old. But tell me a little bit about Implicit Modeler and how that works before we get to GeoLogic.
So Implicit Modeler, like you said, is relatively new. However, it's becoming mainstream in the industry. So people are using it to quickly model and create surfaces in solid based on data. So what's different with MineSight Implicit Modeler is we're giving a lot of flexibility to the user to have control over the data and actually put in their own user inputs to guide those surfaces that are built with what we call the radial basis function, which for some user can sound very mysterious. So by adding all those control, it feels better to the geologists so they can really have their own interpretation of the data.
And just for perspective, are we talking about processes that would have taken weeks, months, now being done in days, or is it even quicker than that? Or?
Yeah, that's about right. So for some of the examples we have, you can, once you've come up with the scenario you want to build, we're talking minutes versus days, right? So it's a huge improvement, but the biggest improvement, it's entirely reproducible. Right, so if you come the next day, you can recreate the same surface, or if it's another user, they can recreate the same surface if the data input is the same. And this is huge, because before it was more something that you had to do by drawing, and a drawing from a person to the next person can be slightly different.
So how does GeoLogic improve on Implicit Modeler? How does it work?
So Implicit Modeler was allowing you to create one surface, one solid at a time. So GeoLogic would let you build a geological timeline with all the different events of a geology of your deposit in a proper sequence. So depending on the sequence, you will end up with multiple surfaces and solids that are actually built together depending on the order and nicely clipped, and your output is an airtight, like a puzzle, pieces of puzzle that are ready to code your block model.
Is there anything else like this on the market?
The difference we have with GeoLogic is it fits in our entire geology portfolio. So GeoLogic feeds from MineSight Torque, which is a drilling database. So you're feeding straight from the data, the latest data. And then it outputs in MineSight 3D, which are solids and surfaces that are ready to code your block model. So it's streamlined in an entire geology portfolio.
Now, I know products aren't just developed in isolation. Presumably, this is something customers are asking for. What's the anticipation among customers for this product?
From our existing Implicit Modeler user base, they're really looking forward to GeoLogic, as it's going to provide a lot more geology workflow base. It really mimics your workflow, how you think as a geologist. So we've seen a lot of people being very excited about the previews of GeoLogic. So it's highly anticipated from our client base.
Excellent. Melanie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Nev.
We'd like to thank our guest, Melanie Bolduc. If you'd like to find out more about Hexagon Mining, visit hexagonmining.com. And to watch additional episodes of HxGN TV, visit hxgntv.com. Thanks for joining us.